Good morning and welcome to CityLine. It is always a pleasure and a privilege to be in your home. We are live every Thursday morning, and this morning is a cold fall-like July 19th, but it's supposed to get warmer in the afternoon, so we'll keep our fingers crossed. Later on in the hour, we will be talking with Connie and Andrea. They are here to talk about the canoe journey. And if you don't know what the canoe journey is, it is something very special and very sacred that you definitely want to attend and take notes about. Tacoma Humane Society is here. They have a brand new CEO, and they also have a beautiful little four-legged friend that they brought with us that I cannot wait to introduce you to. And then Tacoma Musical Playhouse is back here at TV Tacoma, and they have brought with them two stellar actors who are a part of Beauty and the Beast this summer. And you definitely want to tune in for that. And then with me right now is a gentleman that is such a familiar face in Tacoma. We were just talking about if I had to be a character witness for this man, what I would say. And fabulous father, great husband, great community servant, excellent musician. And who am I talking about? Of course, Rod Koon. Welcome, my dear.
Well, thanks for the kind intro.
Well, you're welcome. Now, besides all that, you are also the senior manager of communications department of the Port of Tacoma, so welcome.
Thank you.
And we are here to talk about, we have a huge celebration coming up, and that is the 100-year celebration. Good grief. So first off, let's talk about the port and how it came to be and the history behind its formation, because that port is the nexus of Tacoma. I mean, it holds everybody together, and whether you know it or not, you should know how pivotal this port is as you gaze out and go, oh, I wonder where that red ship is from. So give us some background.
It's a busy port.
It is.
Big part of the community. Well, I would say it dates back to the railroad in 1873 when Northern Pacific chose Tacoma as the western terminus of the transcontinental line. That meant explosive growth for the city, port growth. The railroad owned most of the waterfront, where a lot of restaurants are today. Yes. In 1911, the state legislature passed a law saying if counties want to establish a port district in their county, they can do that. And in 1918, the citizens of Pierce County voted by a 5-1 margin to create Pierce County's port, the Port of Tacoma. So that makes it our centennial year this year. Pretty exciting.
I love that you know the margin, 5-1. That's incredible that you are like a walking historian when it comes to this. So when we think about some of the changes in the past 100 years, and of course you and I were not here for that whole time, but we do have some pictures of it. What comes to mind?
The early days of shipping, it was big men, longshoremen.
Yeah.
No women, as far as I know. You had to lift stuff. You had to be strong, and lifting 50, 100-pound packs of goods. Our first crane, which you see here.
That was the first crane?
It was built in Tacoma, and that was used at Pier 1 and Pier 2. Pretty small. I think it's less than 100 feet tall.
Rod, it doesn't look anything like modern days. I mean,
well, and
wow.
This was long before containerization. So
right.
Containers didn't come along until the 60s, and that has certainly revolutionized shipping. And today, here are the 4 cranes that many residents might have seen come in February. Mm-hmm. These stand 434 feet tall. They're among the largest cranes in the world. If you'd like to buy one of these, it costs about $12 million per crane.
Sign me up.
Okay.
Okay, good.
Put it on your visa.
That's fine.
So the longshore workforce of men and women today is,
yes.
and in terms of our ties run deep, certainly the longshore connection is key to our success. There is physical work for longshore men and longshore women, but now more than ever, it's using technology, driving straddle carriers, a lot of computers involved in running straddle carriers, container cranes, etc.
Wow, this is so impressive, because I did watch those cranes come in? You call them straddle carriers? Is that
Well, these were container cranes. Straddle carriers is a different piece of
okay?
equipment.
But I watch them come in because they've always fascinated me, and I've always wanted to either go up in them or I've wanted to push some buttons and do some things because they're like works of art out there. They are so stellar and ominous and so important, but you don't quite really know what they are. So thank you for that explanation. Let's talk about this new Centennial slogan, "Our ties run deep." Who picked the slogan and what does it mean?
We're working with J. Ray, an ad agency in
Yeah.
Tacoma, and they've been doing great work on a variety of things. As we really thought about where are our roots and what slogan or what keywords tie us all together and really summarize it. Our ties run deep. That's where we landed. So the commission had a role in that, and I think it fits. Our ties run deep, literally to the railroad. So there's
Right.
the railroad tie connection,
yes.
but also the ties to the waterfront, ties to community, to the citizens who created our port, ties to many companies like Buffalin that are over 100 years old in the tide flats, because the port doesn't own everything down in the tide flats, but just a portion of it. So our ties run deep, I think connects pretty well.
And here we're showing a picture of, this is really fun. Let's talk about this. Who was this part? Did J. Ray design this also?
Yes, we worked with them. What you're seeing is a scale model of a 20-foot shipping container.
Oh my gosh.
Which we'll be using throughout our 100-day celebration. Our true anniversary is November 5th, so we back up 100 days. We're launching with the Maritime Fest. So this will be on display at the Foss Waterway Seaport or outside of it. A company, Print Northwest, did the installation. This is basically a variation of a vehicle wrap. So, and since it's curved, you can see it's not a smooth surface. It was quite a challenge for them. They did a great job on it. So there are two different pieces of art on either side of the container. And then on the inside, you'll see we have educational displays about the size of ships, how big is a container crane, what are our major trading partners, et cetera. So it's been a lot of fun. This container has 4 doors on it, so people will be able to walk through it and learn a bit more about, I mean, most people have never walked in a container. Just
No.
To know it's 8 feet tall, 8 feet wide. So there's a novelty to it. We used this years ago at a business expo that the Chamber did years ago at the Tacoma Dome. But we're really looking forward to it. Right now it's in our parking lot, but it'll be over at the Maritime Fest. And then on August 1st, the Downtown on the Go does the scavenger hunt at Tolleson Plaza. We'll have it on display there.
Rod, this is genius. I cannot wait to see the inside of this because I've always wanted to kind of, as I drive by, I'm just always curious about what is inside of these. So I think we're going to show some shots here about what's inside of them because they're mysterious because you never see any people on them. You see lights, but you're not quite sure really what you're looking at.
Well, if you think of it as somebody once called it a suitcase for trade.
Yeah.
And basically what is in these is almost anything you can put in a container. Think of imported goods you might buy at a Fred Meyer or Home Depot, lawn furniture, sporting goods, you name it. On the export side, many of these containers are refrigerated and can hold frozen goods. Mm-hmm. So these help farmers and other ag producers in our state and then the Northwest get French fries to the McDonald's in Singapore.
Well, there we go.
Yeah, we need those. And apples, healthier
That's
things.
right.
Washington State wine as well.
So, Rod, I saw something on there and it said TEUs. What are TEUs?
That's a good question. It's just one of the many acronyms in the shipping business. So a TEU, this is a scale model of basically a TEU. It stands for a 20-foot equivalent unit.
Okay.
So it's a measuring stick for how big is your port. Well, our port handled 2 million TEUs. That just says how many boxes. So a 40-foot container, guess what? That's 2 TEUs.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, there we go. So when we talk about this celebration, you've mentioned, what's happening in August. The Centennial Celebration, you've got many, many things planned for the community. What else do we need to know?
This container will be traveling around. Also, we have a Centennial Timeline, a series of 10 or of 12 large displays that will be installed at the Foss Waterway Seaport, and that'll give highlights of both the history of the Port of Tacoma and some other parts of the community, like when did the Tacoma Dome open, in JFK at Sheeny Stadium in 1963, things that I think people will connect with even if they don't know much about the port. So that'll be on display over at the Foss Waterway Seaport for a while. We're doing farmers markets. We're doing boat tours, and
yes.
I was going to promote those, but they're basically sold out. They are free. We planned on having 6 boat tours on the 29th. We have 2,010 people who have already registered. So we just added what we call the Sunset Cruise that's going to leave from the Foss Waterway Seaport at 6 p.m.
Okay.
So that's 6 p.m. Sunday, July 29th. And you can go online to register or call the port if you don't have access to a computer. But it's portoftacoma.com/boat-tours.
There we go. I love that. So in these last few minutes, when you think about some of your favorite memories, given the amount of time that you have been involved with the port, what are they?
Oh, that's a tough one. I started in 1983.
Wow.
In 1984, in December, 2 container cranes came across the Pacific Ocean and were delivered to the Sealand terminal. They stood about 280 feet, 85 feet tall, much smaller than the ones you saw earlier. But that was the first time that cranes were shipped across the Pacific Ocean fully built. So that was a milestone. And seeing that come into the bay and into the port, it was like, okay, we're a big time container port, because we had just landed the largest container shipping line was moving from Seattle to Tacoma. That's one. And on a personal note, I have many happy memories of my parents coming down for almost every boat tour I ever gave, and I've got over 30 of them under the belt. So they'll be watching.
Yes, they will.
As well.
I want to say thank you so much for all of your deep commitment and your love of the port and your love of this community. And a huge thank you to the team that is not here, that works with you to make this so user-friendly, so accessible, and such a beautiful way to honor such a intricate industry that we look at every single day, and we really need to understand what a gift it is. So thank you so much, Rod.
My pleasure, and we look forward to seeing more of the public at our events.
Absolutely. All right, after this brief message, we're going to play a little bit of musical chairs, and when we come back in these seats, Tacoma Musical Playhouse will be here with Beauty and the Beast. You don't want to miss that. We'll be right back.